we are on. We are on.
Are we on?
We're on.
Let me scoot over a little bit.
Alrighty.
We're on.
Good morning, Emily Miller.
Good morning, Kate Richburg.
All right. Well, we are all set to go.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
Totally.
Because you know what we're going to do today? We are going to do this super fun project that is great for holiday gifts.
Yeah, and easy.
So fast,
But
so
you
easy.
made it by hand.
Yeah, you did.
You did.
To show your love.
To show your love.
And we're showing our love for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's
People
right.
who make more than one bead on their bracelet, they're really loved.
They're really showing.
They're really loved.
That's right. So I'm going to look and see if I can find our broadcast here. And we've got so much to do today, you guys. Yes, here we are. Look. I see us. I see you. There we are.
Hi.
Alrighty. Well, we have got so much to cover today. We've got so... Whoops, I told you to mute.
I thought I had it muted. I know my phone is...
I tell her to mute, and what happens?
Busted.
Busted. So you guys, we've got so much to talk about today before we jump on this. But I did want to mention, if you are watching this on the replay, and there are lots of ways that you can watch our broadcast after we're done. You can watch us, of course, live here on our Facebook page. You can also watch us later archived on this Facebook page under the video tab. You can find us on our YouTube channel under beadshop.com, all spelled out. And of course, you can find us on beadshop.com on our Facebook Live page, where all of our broadcasts are archived there. So if you're watching this after the fact and you want to get right to the learning portion of this broadcast, just put your little slider forward about 15 minutes or so, and that's when that broadcast, the educational part of this broadcast is going to start. Also, if you're watching this today, we usually broadcast on Wednesdays, right? It's our Facebook Live broadcast. If you are watching this after the fact and it's the Monday, this is going to get confusing now, the Monday after the Wednesday, you can go to our Facebook page, or I'm sorry, our beadshop.com website, and if you go to the Facebook page, you're going to see a little button on each Facebook episode that says Download Episode Notes. You can go ahead and download those episode notes, and Janice compiles those over the weekend after our broadcast, and it has all kind of the pertinent information that we've talked about.
Oh man,
all
Janice
kinds,
and her notes.
Yeah, they're packed full of stuff. So the episode notes are a great way to help. So especially if you're watching this later on YouTube and you need a little more info about it, pop on over to our beadshop.com homepage. Go to our Facebook Live section where it says Watch Our Facebook Live Episodes. Click on the episode that you're interested in, and again, you'll see that little button that says Download Episode Notes.
Janice goes to an amazing amount of effort on those episode
does.
notes, and they are not a replacement for you and I.
No,
but
they're
certainly
not.
helpful.
Yeah, they really are. And especially for projects like today's project, where we have like a little graph or a little stuff like this. Mm-hmm. So all of these things are always included in the episode notes. Okay. So how we doing, Grace?
We're doing really good. Everyone is saying hello.
Yes.
And Janice is on, and
great.
I have a quick special hello that I want to say. My former roommate from just after college, Valley Ade in Australia, has been watching us.
Oh, that's great.
And Valley, I just wanted to say, it was so sweet to see your note from Facebook the other day.
Oh.
And I am loving that we're reconnecting. And I know that you're listening to these later with the background, me in the background, and you said you loved hearing my voice again. And I'm so tickled that you're doing that. Yeah,
I love it.
Really
it really
makes me happy.
That connection is so awesome.
It really is.
That's so good. And speaking of connection, you guys, we have a new way to connect with you, and some of you have already done it, and we're super excited. And I wanted to share that with you. We have officially launched our beadshop.com Facebook community, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. And Gracie, jump in if you've got questions from people or anything that's pertinent that you need to shout out.
Tammy was just saying that the new page is growing like crazy. She's asking how many members, and she said Art and she were racing to see who got accepted.
Oh, that's funny. You know what, Tammy? I think I saw Art's post first, or his request first, and I think I clicked on Art, and then I think I added you. But I love you both equally. Both of you equally. Both of you together. And all of you out there, it's like, how can you pick a favorite kid? How can you pick a favorite beadshop.com?
Well, you know what's really cool is I know that we have a viewer up in Lakeport, in Lake County.
Sherry. When she says, hello from Lakeport,
Lakeport.
California.
Which is near my hometown where I grew up. And then I noticed that there's another person from Lake County as well there.
Lake County represents.
I know, and I'm kind of excited. I'm feeling like maybe I'm going to have a meetup up in Lake County one of these days.
I love it. Because that's where you're
gather
from.
My gang, my homies.
That's so awesome.
You know, and it might be kind of fun to do.
Well, I want to talk to you a little bit about this community and this group because we've had some some questions and some things. So I wanted to give you a little bit of clarification and talk to you a little bit about what's going on with it. So we're going to move the camera around a little bit, and I'm going to actually share my screen here with all y'all so you can kind of see what's going on. Okay.
Kim was wondering how she missed the start of this, and when did you guys start?
Oh, we just started.
Yesterday.
Just yesterday. So don't worry, Kim.
You haven't missed much.
I'm going to tell you guys what to do and everything. So don't worry. All of you are welcome to join the group. So, Bran, pass that camera over, and I'm going to place our little camera right down here.
Hi, Grace.
There's Gracie. There she is for just a moment. That's right. You look amazing. But I think we're nice and tight on our Steadicam. I'm waiting to see. There's Gracie right there in the corner. There she is. And I just want to see to make sure we're good to go. There's a little bit of a lag. Awesome. Okay, so can you guys see that screen okay? You want to get in even a little tighter, Bran, if you can. That's as tight as we can get? Okay, great. So give me some thumbs up, you guys, if you can see this. I hope you can. I can turn things around a little bit more, too, if you need it. Okay, or should I leave it? Should I bring it closer? Can people really see that? Bear with me here, you guys. Okay, good. And I see some thumbs up. Okay. So here we are on our Bead Shop community Facebook page. Okay. And this differs, you guys. I'm going to click over. This differs. Oh, look, there we are. That's totally crazy. Meta. Totally meta. This is our regular beadshop.com page. Can you see that there? Okay. So beadshop.com, that's where you watch us, our Facebook Lives that you are watching us right now. That's where, like, you post reviews and, you know, we have our video archive and all of that kind of stuff. This is the page for our business, our public face of beadshop.com on Facebook. Now, if we click over to beadshop.com community, the bead table, this is kind of like the back room of beadshop.com on Facebook, okay? So you do have to ask to join this group, but we're not excluding anyone, but we are making, it's a little bit of a more relaxed place for people to hang out and meet and chat, right? When you join the group, when you click on, and you can just search, if you're having trouble finding it, right here in the search box, or you can do it in the search box on your mobile device as well. You just type in beadshop.com community, and you'll see it come up. Okay, so if I do that, the bead table, let's see if I can get that. And so see, you'll get something like this that says beadshop.com community, the bead table. I'll go ahead and click on that, and you can see this page will come up. Okay? So now, my computer or my my screen here shows joined because I'm a member. All right? But if you want to join, it'll say join this group or join group or whatever. And you click the pull down and you put join group. And what'll happen, you guys. What'll happen is you'll get a pop-up. And in order to keep spammers out of our group, because, that happens on Facebook, I want to make sure that everybody who joins the group wants to be in the group and wants to be a contributor to the group. I have 3 brief little questions that I want you to answer as a courtesy. And then once you answer those, I go to my Manage Group page, my Manage Group tab, and I see everybody who's requested, and then I read them through, and I approve everyone to join. Okay? So once you're a part of the group, once you have been a member of the group, you can do a few different things. Okay? The first thing I want to have you do, you guys, is I've pinned this post, and it just has some guidelines for our beadshop.com community. And you can just kind of click on those and read them. The rules are super simple and straightforward, and I think really super fair. And then once you do that, jump in. Start to post. You can see Debbie McKee, look,
Aww.
Diva Kitty, she loves Emily's jewelry. Look, she made a beaded, the 3 strand knotted necklace, and Debbie, your kitty cat is wearing it. How cute is that? That's awesome. So you can just go in and kind of post. Donna Anderson, you posted, I loved this great poetry with this tassel. And you guys you can see there's a lot of, Janice also posts, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of kitty cat posts in this, right? But you can go in and you can comment, you can ask questions. Yep, Gracie, question.
Alexis is wondering if our comments remain private within the group.
Great question. I have that right here on my little cheater notes, Alexis. Yes. The cool thing about a Facebook group is, can you see here how it says closed group? So kind of like that old saying, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Well, what happens in our Facebook.com community group stays in the group. So one of the tenets of the group is that we really do ask that you don't share anything outside of the group, because to your other Facebook page, to other Facebook groups, you can invite people to join, but everything that we post here, we request stays here, so that people feel really comfortable posting their projects, talking about their projects. That's the beauty of the group. It's kind of like a private club, not something that we want to keep people out, but something that people feel really supported, that it's not going to, whatever you post here isn't going to go viral. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to mention, you guys, if you want to see everybody's photos, see here on the sidebar, you guys should all have this little sidebar thing. You'll have it on your mobile device as well. If I click on photos, this is a way to kind of quickly scroll to see all of the photos that have been posted so far, which is kind of a cool feature. So if you're looking, you're going, oh shoot, I knew I saw a photo somewhere. Clicking on the photos makes it fast and easy for you to scroll through. Another thing that you can do is you can click on Files. And what I just did this morning was I started uploading our episode notes from our Facebook Live episodes. If we have any other kind of group exclusive files, like if Janice creates some kind of cool, little drawing or anything like that, you can, we'll post them here under the Files tab. And if you have a file, if you have like a photo that you think is great color inspiration or whatever, just email it to me, kate@beadshop.com, and I can go ahead and upload it to the files. Or you can also, if you are posting, you can add a photo or photo and video, but here under More, we can add file right there. But if you're confused about how to add a file, just go ahead and email it to me, and I'll be glad to post it. Yep, Gracie.
Quick question.
Sure.
Mike was saying that he clicked on a register link but didn't get any questions that you were talking about. And then when he goes to the page, he sees pending.
And that's Mike, that's you. I'll double check and see. I have some people that I haven't. You can see I still have some people waiting. So if you just did that, I may not have seen you and added you. Okay, but if you have trouble, go ahead and message me.
Another quick question. Patrice is wondering, so if she likes comments and they ended up on her Facebook page, should she not have done that?
No, it's fine, Patrice. What you'll do, typically with groups that you belong to, those groups will show up in your news feed, but only your news feed. So only other people in the group will see those. So, you know, I belong to all kinds of different groups around on Facebook. So I see they really populate my news feed. And that's one of the reasons we did a group like this, was that to be able to interact and reach out a little bit easier. Sometimes business pages don't always show up. And so people were having a harder time finding us. So, but the group, it will show up on your homepage. But again, it really only shows up to you because that's your news feed. Okay? Alrighty. So let's click back over to our regularly scheduled broadcast. Brandwin, I will pass this back to you. And we will get this show on the road. I hope this helps. I hope that helped everybody to kind of understand kind of how to navigate. Sometimes with groups, it's a little bit different, or if you haven't joined a group and stuff before, it might be a little bit...
takes a little getting used to on Facebook.
Yeah, a little bit getting used to, so it should be fine. Okay, so are we good to go?
We are.
We're good to go. We're good to go.
We have one photo to share.
We'll hop in.
One photo.
Yeah. Well, I showed the kitty.
No, I want to
there's
show this
another
other one. Yeah.
I want to see.
Hold
What
on.
is it?
Hold on. Let me...
Okay.
I think it's rolled all
All the way down. Alrighty. Well, while Emily pulls that up,
Wait, where'd it go?
I don't know. Well, why don't you look for it, and
Okay.
I'm gonna keep forging
Go ahead.
forging ahead. So for today's project, you guys, we have 3. That's not 3. That's 4. I have a lazy 4.
Here it is.
3. Oh, yeah. Well, that's coming up. Do you want to show it? Do you
Sure.
want to flash it?
Don't you want to show it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's. Yes.
We have one beautiful
One quick one because
viewer mail that's just
Yes.
stunning. And this was from the project we did at the retreat.
Yes.
Lisa Yamamoto sent us her labor of love, and I gotta tell Yoshimoto, sorry. She has exceeded herself.
Yes, gone to town.
Gone to town on
see that
these
there?
awesome beaded beads because they look amazing. And this is a project that's coming up real soon.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
And they're really super fun to make. It's, again, like Emily said, it's the one that we made at the retreat.
Yeah.
And it's going to be awesome. Awesome.
So,
that's
Lisa,
coming up in December. But it was really great
good.
to see. So
Yep.
thank you. Okay, so let's get this show on the road. We have 3 different colorways today that we want to share with you. And this is kind of a mashup of 2 different, I'm going to actually get this out of the way, out of 2 different kind of fun techniques that we do. Your kind of Peyote Stitch, ombre Peyote Stitch tutorial.
It's Peyote Stitch is a real good.
It's a good one.
It's a good one, and it is pretty easy to follow along with.
Yeah.
I love that you're throwing in some patterning.
Yeah.
I think this makes a great excuse to make an elastic bracelet.
Right, and that's our other,
As if you needed one.
Right, that's
Right.
our other beadshop.com tried and true, which was a project that Gracie was instrumental in starting, right, with Stretch Therapy, right? So it's kind of a mashup of those 2 great techniques. And sometimes I take some beads home over the weekend because I don't have enough to do.
Really? And you don't have enough
Emily
beads at home. I can't believe that.
Right, so I was playing around with kind of this Peyote Stitch, and I loved the way that our regular 11-aughts and the metal 11-aughts played against each other. So if you go to the Facebook Live page and you click over to projects, you'll see the project ingredients lists for all 3 of these, but you'll also see the recipe. And you guys, the recipe, you can use any 11-aughts for this, okay? So I'm just going to bring this over here. So any of the 11-aughts will really work. And Brandwin, it's probably time to rearrange so you can see us a little bit better. You tell me here.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and
She's
move.
coming in. Brandwin's coming in. Yes. Perfect. So we've made little, our little, whoops, this isn't right.
Oh,
Wrong.
actually, I think.
No, I need gilding.
Oh, I got the wrong one.
Yep.
So sorry.
Bam. Here, Emily, I've got it, I think, right. I think I've got it right
Oh, okay.
here. So I'm going to pour that little pile out for
No,
you.
oh, I was going to say I have another.
And
tray.
pour that little pile in for me. But you can see, you can mix them up, no problem. So what we've got is, we've got our metal seed beads, and we have the, for this colorway, this is the one that we call Morning Mist. And the Morning Mist is that transparent gray AB, and that matte zinc plate 11-aught. And then we used the Heather Opalite Rondelle for that. And then this middle one here we've called Sunset Bronze. And the Sunset Bronze is the Antique Copper 11-aught seed bead. And then we've got the matte transparent Topaz AB seed bead here, which I love. Yep.
Can we
Crazy.
just ask why you chose 11-aughts and not Delicas?
Oh, well, I think it's because I'll be honest, because I grabbed the 11-aughts and not the Delicas when I went home for the weekend. Delicas would look amaze with this, for sure. So 11-aught Delicas, by all means. And you could use the 11-aught Delicas for this portion, this main portion, and still use these metal seed beads or regular
Absolutely,
seed
they
beads.
would actually balance with it.
Yeah,
Would balance with it
and
really nicely.
it would really get you a big contrast here. So yeah, by all means, yeah. So I'll be honest. When I went out the door, I picked I picked the round seed beads, the 11-aughts, rather than the Delicas. And then here, this colorway, this one's called Golden Hour, and I used the gilding matte. That's gold gilding matte seed bead here. One of my favorite seed beads ever since Janice used this in her color, what's Janice's big color, why can't I think of it? Color Story.
Color
Study.
Color Study, jeez. Grandma, get some more caffeine. In her Color Study, I have been in love with this, and this is the matte opaque antique beige. And then we use the light Colorado Rondelle for these. So, but you guys, I grabbed every Rondelle that we had, right, which is this pile right here, and this pile right here, right? These are all the rondelles we carry. So if you wanted to pop over to the recipe, pick a rondelle. Like, I'm going to pick one just arbitrarily because I love it. And what this one is, I know, Janice, I don't know what this one is because I have a big pile. I'm sorry. I know I'm going to be in trouble. And then I'll grab a seed bead from my seed bead pile, just right here. And if you really want it to have a match, this is the matte opaque blush, right? And I could use, even to make a big contrast, I could then use the
Copper.
The
I like this
seed
one.
bead antique copper.
The ones with the mixed. I love these little mixed rondelles.
And I know you guys can find it. I know, Janice, between you and Gita, you can find what these are.
Glazed peach.
Glazed peach, right? And of course I pulled out another one here. Pumpkin.
Yep.
Pumpkin mix. But look at how cool that is. And you could do that with the... But this is every rondelle that we have here. So you could just mix and match. So instead of this peach, I could put in the blue. And look at how cool those look. So that's the fun part of... Look at how cool this kind of crazy matte one looks with that, right? So you can just pair. I got this, this was one that we were loving on the other day, the 138 FR, this
kind of like a matte
this
tangerine.
yeah. And we could use that even with something that's kind of low-key like this, right? Or with this kind of bright blue. So you can mix and match these all day long,
Yep.
right? All day long. Okay. Questions so far, Gracie?
Oh, sorry, Janice just answered it. So
Okay, great.
they're 8mm rondelles.
Yes.
8mm. Yes, yes. Yes, yes.
And Debbie says that they all go with pecan pie.
They all do go with pecan pie, our monthly mix for this month. Look at this guy. Look at this.
Yeah.
I want to make that.
I'm
Yes.
gonna put that
You know
in
what
there.
that looks like?
Yes.
Without the red, it looks like the...
My monthly mix for
Yeah.
my
Exactly.
birthday. I
Yeah,
know, harvest
September
time.
mix.
Yeah, the September mix. I know. And then I'd use this
Exactly.
one.
That's
Right?
exactly.
That's exactly.
You're just recreating
Yeah,
it with different beads.
I am. Just recreating it with different beads. Well, you know what? When something works, Gracie, why? Look at this.
Oh, I love
Couldn't we
that.
do this all day? One of the questions that I answered for you guys to join the group was, what do you want to see more of here on Facebook Live? And so many of you said, I want to see you mix colors. So we'll have more of that coming up. I know that we have to get on this project, but one more time, look at this one. Look at whatever this is. Poor Janice, she's going crazy, going, tell me what it is. This one is 4469 with this matte, this matte mix. I don't know.
Look at
So,
that.
but it's
Look at
all
that,
of our
Jana.
rondelles.
Look at that. With that Picasso finish
Look
and
at
that
that.
blue.
It's so amazing.
Right? Starring in the shine show with the numbers up,
Yeah,
Janice.
with that. Yeah, there we go. Let me put numbers up. That's smart. But essentially what this is illustrating, you guys, is jump over to the recipe page, click on that, and that's going to take you to the collection of all of these. And you can kind of just start, kind of jumping around, putting them in your cart. It's a really affordable and simple technique. I do want to mention, so let's talk about the specifics now of this piece. What we did was, to make this piece, these strands of rondelles come in strands of 25. So what we did was we strung all 25 and added one bead here, okay? So you're going to you have a bunch of beads in your seed beads to make, I don't know, an endless supply of these little beaded beads here, but you're going to need one strand of rondelles per bracelet unless you make more of these beads, right? So I could make 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 of those, right? And this bead takes up about 3 rondelles, so I would have, 3, 6, 9 less rondelles in this piece if I put 4 in, or 5 or whatever. So you can kind of balance it out, make as many of these as you like, and again, the more beaded beads you use in this design, the fewer rondelles you're going to need. Yep.
I just have a cute comment.
Sure.
Jackie said that she told her family this year she's bringing each of them one of our recipes.
Oh,
cool.
I love
Like
it.
bring a recipe to
Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
a recipe to Thanksgiving. I love it. We should, I don't know, we should have a little recipe box.
Maybe
or
we should
something.
have
It'd be fun.
maybe we should have a cookie recipe swap. Since we're kind of virtual,
Right.
We can't really share the cookies, but we could
Right,
actually
we'd share the recipes.
recipes.
That might be fun. Maybe we'll think about how we could do that, and have people send in their favorite cookie recipe, because I like a cookie. That's for sure.
Well, it's fun to bake at the holidays.
It is. So the other things that we're going to need are, you're going to need some, for everything, you're going to need some fireline. And fireline is what I used for stitching for this piece. And I use fireline because now I always use fireline.
Well, with
really.
the metal beads, this makes more sense.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Fireline's more durable.
Exactly.
And it's no stretch. All those things. You don't need very much. It's one piece of fireline.
One
Not even have
piece.
to change thread.
Yeah, and the thing is, with these, especially on a bracelet, it'll get a lot of wear and tear. So I really wanted to have the strongest thread that I could. But you're exactly right, Emily. Since I used those metal seed beads, that was the main reason why I chose that fireline. Then you're also going to need some beeswax if you want to wax your thread. You're going to need some hypo cement to, when you tie your knot on these little guys, we close those up with our hypo tube. And then, if you needed to clamp things closed or whatever, you could throw in one of the clampers. And of course, you're going to need some stretch magic. And what we did when we strung these guys, we actually strung these on a single strand of the 0.7 millimeter. But I'll tell you, this hole right here in the rondelle is pretty big. So I might actually string this on a double strand if I were stringing this.
I think it would be too stiff myself.
I don't know.
You don't agree?
No, I don't actually. I think that
we can argue about that later.
Yeah, when we string this on, because I when I string things, especially that are going to have a lot of wear and tear on them, I like doing that double strand. And if this were thicker, Stretch Magic, but with the 0.7 millimeter, I think the double would work. But we'll check it when we go on to string. Okay, so to get started with this project, it's pretty simple. All you're going to do is you're going to need to start, and you can see with this little pattern, and I'm going to put, where do you need me to go, Bryn?
Towards you a little
Towards me? Is that better?
Just a little bit more.
Let me get my, first let me find my, there it is. A little bit more?
Just a little bit, yeah, perfect.
Okay. So you can see, we're going to start by stringing on 14 beads. And if you can see this first row, and this is flat peyote, even count, okay? We're going to start these little white beads or clear beads. These are our metal beads here, okay? So I'm going to give myself a length of fire line. And how much fire line, you ask? I don't know. How much fire line, Em?
I would do about a yard to maybe a yard and a quarter.
1, 2. This is about a yard, right? Because this is an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. I'm using the paper, so I'll go 3 lengths and a half of my paper. How does that sound?
That sounds great.
I like
Fingertip to nose also usually gives you about a yard, and then you can go a little bit more.
A little bit more. And then I'm going to just wax this sucker up. I like waxing before I string.
I like waxing after I needle.
You string, so, or get the needle on, so whatever works for you.
Kate and I do vary a little bit on our likes and dislikes. And
we do, and it's a shame that I'm always right. Oh.
Sometimes.
Just kidding, Emily.
Like any good clock, I'm right twice a day.
That's right. Or like any, what was something else I don't know, I was thinking.
But we do have
no,
some,
you teach me things all the time.
We have some great tips and tricks that we figure out together. And,
That's right.
And it's so funny when something new comes your way because you can't wait to show it to the other person.
That's right. Like mines. And what Emily always likes to say is, get out of my head, Kate Richburg, get out of my head. So it's kind of hard to see because I'm using the crystal fire line. You could use the smoke if you wanted, a different color, whatever. Yeah. I chose crystal for all of these because it kind of blends with everything. But I'm going to go ahead, hold the end of that fire line, and I really can't see this at all, you guys, but I can feel it, and I'm going to push that little tip. And you know what? If you're having trouble, what you can do, if the fire line feels too round, I'll come in, I'll flatten the fire line just a little bit on the end, then, because I could feel it didn't want to poke on through, so I'll go ahead and needle that thread, I think, needle that thread on, if I can, I can't see it at all. Gosh, I'm really having trouble today. Let me go ahead and clip that little edge.
Pass me some of those beads over here. I don't want to go in front of the camera.
Okay, perfect. And then...
That's it. Thank you. Perfect. That's all.
Okay. Perfect. While Emily's getting her beads situated, I'm going to get this. I am going to get this.
So, you know, I have a little bit different technique for when that's problematic.
Yeah, no, that's not it either.
I like to use my thumbnail to flatten it a little bit. Kind of like you do with curling ribbon. You know, when you hold it against the scissor to curl it. I use my thumbnail to do that, so it flattens a little longer piece. But that's just me.
That's just you, Emily Miller.
Do you want another needle? I have some right here.
I feel like this needle
maybe it's a little funky.
The right needle for me.
There we go.
No,
those are glovers. You don't want those.
They are? Yeah. Oh, you're right. I don't want those.
Here you go. Here's here's another one.
Great. Oh yeah, perfect. I felt like that one was kind of rogue, that the needle, I don't think that was a 10. I think that was smaller.
I pulled out a bunch of 10s. I don't know where they all went. But
yeah, I don't think that was it. So this is why, you guys, I was using the 10, the eye on that 10.
I've even seen in the eye of the needle
so much
sometimes
easier.
Little things getting stuck in there from the manufacturing. So sometimes it's not you. Sometimes it is the equipment.
This one, though, I think is me. Come on, why am I struggling today, you guys? Do you feel my pain? There it goes. All right. And again, that's why I chose the size 10, at least for me, because it's a little bit of a bigger eye. And you can see, I think what I was using before may have been, I don't know, might have been different. It might have been a 12. But anyway, I've got it in. Okay. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to string on my 14 beads. So the beads that I'm stringing on, I've got my little pile right here. And this little pile here. Everything okay over there, Brandon?
Yeah, I just accidentally moved the
Oh, okay.
camera.
That's all right. That's all right.
Back.
So we're going to start with our colored bead. And so I'm going to start with one of these guys. And then we go with a metal. And then we go with one of these. And we go with a metal. So that's 4. Okay. So now I'm going to string on 6 more beads. That's what makes up my beads in the center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's 10 beads total. Now I need to add the last 4 for a total of 14, right? So that's a metal bead.
You guys will notice
bead,
that Kate's working without a net. She doesn't have a stopper bead on.
a metal bead. I'm not. I didn't. And so there's my 14. Now you guys can, I don't work with a stopper bead a lot of times. You can see these just came right off my needle. Because I don't. And when Emily was using her stopper beads for her projects, I was using them and I like them. And I do have them on this little diagram. So if you do start with a stopper bead, just use it in a different color. That's 6. So let me put these guys back on. Okay. Okay, and I'll slide them off my needle. Let me get that stopper bead on there since I've got it. But I want to keep a pretty big tail on the end because that's what I'm going to weave back through. So I can slide this bead on. This fire line is so wiry that I don't need a needle for the other side if I wanted a stopper bead. Now I told you to put that stopper bead on as a different color, but you're going to pretend that's what that is. Okay. Then I'm going to slide all of these guys down. And again, I don't slide them to the stopper bead. I kind of slide a little bit here. So you can see I've got all 14, and I'm just going to double check this row to make sure it's correct before I move on to the next step. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 beads. Now, with this Peyote Stitch, and Peyote Stitch is my seed bead stitch. It's the one that is my tried and true. We're putting on 2 rows. This one row is actually 2 rows. And when you put on the 3rd row, which is what I have here, that 3rd row displaces, can you see that now, Bryn? That 3rd row displaces the beads in row 1 and row 2 to create all 3 rows. Okay, so let me show you how that looks. Let me get nice and tight here. So my first bead with this, I'm going to skip my first bead and I'm going to add my first bead for row 3. So I've pushed that little bead out of the way, pick up my second bead, and then go through this 3rd bead. And the first row, as you guys know, with any seed bead stitch, right, Em?
Looks like a wet cat.
Yeah, that's right. The first stitch is always funny.
You know, it's I think a factor of tension. It's a little hard to hold things tightly enough. That's another thing I kind of like about the stopper bead. As I push the stopper bead against the beginning of the row,
it keeps everything tight.
It kind of keeps everything together.
Sure.
And with Peyote Stitch, the mantra of pick up a bead, skip a bead, go through the next bead, it's a little bit quirky to kind of do the very first row or row 3. And as you're doing that, row 3, the row 2 and 3 will try and flip around, or 1 and 3 will try and flip around.
It'll flip around back and forth.
And you know, really on the first few beads of row 3, it's not that critical. If any of these sort of middle same color beads kind of
flip around
a little bit.
And you can see that I'm getting that kind of right here, that I had a little bit of a flip. But can you see what I do instead of having that stopper bead? I actually hold that tension kind of with my fingers, and maybe it's from all of my years as, I don't know, stitching with maybe embroidery, or I don't know, something.
I've got my first and second row and third row all complete here. Do you want to show it? It's a little bit easier to see. Maybe the color is a little bit darker.
Right.
So that the first bead that I added for the new row was this one right here. I came out here, I added this one, and that meant I went through a metal bead, and then picked up another, went through another metal bead, and continued across. So right now, I'm just in the one color of seed bead. When I get to the point where the bead I'm going to skip is a metal bead, that's when I add that metal bead in there. And I think that's one of those things about Peyote Stitch. It's a little hard to pattern with it, a little bit hard to kind of remember what the situation is, but whatever bead you're going to go over, the bead that's low or the skip bead, that'll help you keep that pattern kind of in line.
That's the bead that you put on.
Right. And on each of these rows, subsequent row, I'm only going to add 2 metal beads. Because if you look at this row, if I was going to come around out of these beads and go into the next one, I'm going to skip a glass bead in these 2 positions. But when I get over here, I'm skipping a metal bead again. Gracie, you had a question?
We just had a few requests to look at the chart again.
Let's do it. The chart's nice because it's big and it's actually facing the right way. So one of the things that I tend to do, and I'm kind of a, can you back out a little bit, Brandon? I don't know if you already have or not. Yeah, I just want to look at the whole chart.
Yeah, it just takes a while to catch up.
There we go. I tend to use that stopper bead also as a way for it to keep identifying my beginning of my row. And this beginning of this row, my stopper bead, then this is my 14 beads, okay? And that forms rows 1 and 2. This next part of the diagram actually shows the beads displaced, rows 1 and 2 separated, but it doesn't actually show the bead that's doing that separating, okay? This part of the part of the graph does. So row 1, stopper bead again, right? Row 1, these were all the beads I added. The first 14, right? And I picked up a bead.
I don't know if you want to.
I was just going to use my pointer here. Picked up, that was my first bead, and then I went through that metal bead, okay? Came out, picked up another glass bead, through the next metal bead, picked up another glass bead, and so on. So going right along, picking up a bead, skipping a bead, going through the next bead, and coming right over here till I finish row 3. Where I'm going to come out of row 3 is right here, picking up starting for row 4. So the bead I'm skipping, the one I'm not going through, identifies what bead I should be using so that my pattern will pick up correctly. So as I work this, and you can see really easily, I think, on this part of the graph, one row has only 2 metal beads in it. Can you see those 2? Because these beads, these 7 beads, are all the same row. The row previous, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the row previous had only also 1 pair of metal beads in it, okay? So your rows are going to alternate, and this will make the metal beads line up to give you those nice little stripes. And patterning with Peyote Stitch is a little bit about thinking about the row previous rather than the row you're actually working on.
Right.
Because it kind of depends upon the row previous. We're using Peyote Stitch today. We could be using Brick Stitch for this too.
Yeah, Brick Stitch would work, totally.
And this peyote is flat peyote, which means we're going to make a strip and zipper it together.
Right.
So the interesting thing about using flat, even peyote is that the patterning works really nicely with pairs of things or even numbers of things. If I wanted to have odd numbers of something, like I wanted to have something in the middle of my row, it'd be easier to use odd count instead of even count flat peyote. And odd count isn't any more difficult, except that it's got a trickier turn on one end. So this particular even count has the same turns on both ends as we turn and go around to the next row. The odd count would have a slightly different turn on one row.
And sometimes I find the odd count I always find the even count to be a little bit easier for me.
I think it is. You don't really have to pay quite as much attention to sort of what's happening because
It's almost automatic.
Right. So, and we're using flat peyote this time instead of tubular peyote. We could be using tubular peyote to create this as well. And in that case, I'd probably want to be working around a form.
Yeah, like sometimes I get like a dowel or a knitting needle or something.
I like bamboo skewers.
Yeah.
And toothpicks.
That would work.
And
well, you make them. You make tiny.
I make tiny sometimes.
Yeah,
right?
I like a bit. Sometimes I use a dowel.
Gracie, you got a question?
Super quick. Can you just show the turn again?
Sure. So the turn.
And I'm almost ready.
Would be, here's my rows 1 and 2. This would be a straight thread coming all the way through. I'd come out here. I'd pick up a bead. I would not pass through the immediate bead. I'd pass through the next one. Okay?
So your mantra is always
pick up a bead, skip a bead, pass through the next bead. On subsequent rows, the bead that you're going to skip is actually dropped down. So you're kind of moving along without having to say that part of the mantra. So on this particular row, after row 3, I'm going to pick up a bead here. I'm coming out of row 2, ready to go into row 4, picking up a bead, and I'm skipping this one down here. I'm going through this bead. Picking up a bead, going through the next bead. Picking up a bead, going through the next bead. That skipped bead is already a little low, and I can ignore it a little easier.
Can you please now bedemonstrate that on the
Yes.
the bead?
Yeah,
I'd
we'll
be happy
demonstrate
to.
it one more time.
Thank you, guys.
I'd be happy to.
Yep.
Yep.
I know it can get a little
It's a
confusing, and I got a little bit of an unrecoverable knot, so I actually had to come back in.
I've got
and
one. I've got my
remake.
little setup right here. Let me just find my needle because that's tricky. So in this case, you're going to be looking at this upside down. Is everybody going to be okay with that? So
Okay.
my thread's coming out right now. I'm in the exact same position as our graph is. I'm actually going to move this away because I don't want it to be too confusing. Too many cooks in the soup here. Okay. So my thread is coming out of row 2. Row 3 is complete. It's coming out of the low bead on row 2, right next to my stopper. I'm going to pick up the bead that I'm skipping over, which is this glass one.
Right, see, it's the same color.
Same color. And I'm going to pass through that metal bead. All right?
And see how that's sticking up, you guys? That's just, your needle can't really go anywhere else but through that sticky up bead.
All right? Pull my thread right through. So again, I'm going to pick up a bead, and I think we're all together. Are we agreed on the color of bead I should be taking? Is it a metal bead?
No.
No. It's a glass bead.
I'm gonna do
Okay.
this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have you look for just a second. Like,
Okay. Go through. How's that feeling for everybody? Better? So there's my, let go. There's my little sample here. So I'm going to pick up a bead, skip that low bead, and pass through the next one. I'm going to continue doing that multiple times until I get over to here. So now the bead I'm skipping is a metal bead, which means I want to use a metal bead to pick up. So that's the way to follow this particular patterning along. Is the bead that I'm skipping over, that's the bead I should be picking up.
and this is row 4 that you've added.
Right, I'm working on
right?
row 4 right now. The way to count rows, there's 2 ways. You can count on the diagonal, and that would mean from the lowest to the highest. So if I count from my lowest bead, this metal one, 1, 2, 3, and this would be row 4, it's not actually there yet, but row 4 would be right there, that would be that bead. The other way to count is by counting the turn or the end beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 rows. Okay, 1 end bead for each row.
That makes sense.
Okay, better, Grace? Cool. Got thumbs up.
Thumbs
I'm excited.
So now, what you're going to do along here, I had to unthread my needle. Let me clip this. Is you're going to continue on, and what we decided, or what I decided for this pattern was, I was going to use I was going to make 16 rows total for this bead. Okay, now 16 rows total gives me 5 or 15 rows that I've made across this way, and one row to zip it up. Okay, so we're going to work on this a little bit, and I'm going to show you, I'll walk you through now that I've got, this is my bigger piece here. I'm going to go here. And so let's count these rows, and let's use Emily's method of counting. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 rows. So I need to go along and add 3 more rows until I get to 15 rows. So can you see here what I've done is I'm here. I know that this is kind of my down space. Okay, so the bead that I'm going to put on is this gray bead. And I am a flipper. I put my bead on, I flip, and then can you see there's that bead. It's just sticking right up, so I go through.
So you're flipping end to end, end for end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, right. So when I come to the end of this row, I'll flip it over and work on that row. I don't go back and forth. So you can see here, I've gone through that metal bead. That little space, that's that gray bead. So let me put it on. The only place I can go is that sticky up bead right there. So I go through.
I like
now,
that technical term,
sticky
actually.
up,
Sticky up
totally.
bead. Mm-hmm.
So now I'm just going to keep going. Add my little beads. I'm in the vast middle of this piece. So stick with me here, you guys. Sorry, of course I had to pick this gray. It's a little hard to see, isn't it? But you guys have got this. Then I'm going to come on and add my metal here. Add my metal. Now I'm ready to turn. So when I turn, I go through that one. See how there's a little space right there? I flip everything over. So that was row 13. Now I'm on row 14. I'll come through. I know that sometimes watching the stitching is a little bit like watching paint dry, but I really want you to get the hang of it. And notice how that first flip, when I do that first flip, I give that thread a little bit of a tighten, a little bit of a tug, to make sure that that first bead that I've put on, that the tension is correct, right? I'm always tugging just slightly. I mean, it's not a lifeline, so you don't need to yank on it super tightly, but you want all of your stitches kind of to be nice and firm. And what were you going to, I hear you gearing up to say something.
Oh my gosh,
I hear you.
Eagle ears. I was going to say that, you know, with tension, and this, I really think this can't be said enough with bead weaving in general, that tension, really what you want to do is be consistent.
Right.
You don't really need to kill it on one row and then don't do anything on the next row.
On the next row.
You really want to try and keep it as even as possible. So.
But again, you don't want that tension to be loose, or this bead is going to kind of waggle around.
Well, and the goal most of the time with seed bead weaving is not to see the thread. And so if you kind of keep a few of those kind of truisms in mind, you know, then things kind of tend to work out pretty well. You know, feel like you're working on your cliches.
Right.
Joyce is adding some technical terms to our technical dictionary.
All right.
Excellent.
What do you
Sticky
got there,
outie.
Joyce?
Exactly. She said the sticky outie. She said some people refer to as an innie and an outie. So the gaps in between are the innies.
Right.
And the innies, then the outies. I like that. So I'm working on my last my row 15, and then we're going to zip this sucker together, you guys, right? It's going to be amazing. Let me go my last couple. A little tug.
And since this is going to be a zipper, we pretty much have to have an odd number of rows.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just not.
It's not going to fit. Right. So you can see. Let me count. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That little bead was funny. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 rows. Okay. So now, and you can see what Emily was saying is, see how when I fold these two little pieces together like a taco, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can see that I need to get a bead right in there. So I'm going to pick up my bead. Let me make sure I'm doing this right. I'm picking up my bead, and my little bead's going to nestle right in there. Let me put this on. And I'm going to go through. Is this right? Hang on, I'm going to consult my seed bead maven here a second.
Oh, you know what? I would actually go ahead and do another row. Do another flat row across. I think you're coming up with a.
I think I'm running into your issue is that they're not matching.
Yep.
Okay, so
They're
I do need to
zippering.
add. I do need to add one more row.
Yeah.
So we actually, I bet I miscounted my rows, Em.
You might have.
It's 14 beads across, not 16 rows. It's 15 rows. Oh, it's 15 rows total. I only had made, sorry you guys, let me add this and then I'll recount them. See how the mighty fall. Let's see. I knew it looked funny when I brought that together as the little taco. The two beads were butting up against each other.
Right, you need that extra.
Right, and nothing was fitting.
Zipper.
Mm-hmm. Nothing was fitting. There we go. All right.
I've got another one to do too for you.
Look at, you're all ready to go.
Yeah, that's for
You're so fast.
That's for the bonus project.
There you go. So now you guys, you can see I did have to add. I had to add that 16th.
Yep.
That 16th row. So you can see when I fold it. Let's fold it like the taco. Can you see how the beads? There's
you have
the
an Indian
beads,
and outie?
an Indian and outie, or an uppie or a downy, right? So now all you need to do is zip them together. So I'm coming in, instead of adding a bead on, I come into that bead, and then I come through this bead. So I'm essentially doing a little zigzag across, right? I go there.
Before you zip it up.
Uh-huh.
Can we see it the way it looks flat?
Yes.
Sorry, that was just a...
You can. Maybe.
I can show you mine.
Yeah, show them yours, Em.
All right.
And I'm going to keep zipping.
So I have a little bonus.
Because it's too late.
A bonus episode here to the episode that I'm going to do. And I made this earlier because Kate and I have been talking about, again, Kate and I may be miles apart, but we think about the same things at the same time. Mm-hmm. So on my drive-in this morning, which was exceptionally long.
It was exceptionally long.
I was thinking about what could I add as bonus content today? And because I love seed beads and I love bead weaving. And I thought, Kate did tassels last week for Free Tip Friday.
I did indeed.
And they're so cool. And I love that she put this big melon bead on the top of them because I think they're just... They look like they ought to be hanging from some fancy key and some fancy cabinet somewhere.
That's right.
In a fancy auction house with a really spectacular story behind them,
That's exactly what I was going for. That's exactly right.
What I thought I would do is add a
little band
of bead weaving. And I love all these blue greens, so I picked out kind of I'm calling it a dark celadon green.
Because that's so romantic.
It is celadon.
It is.
Right? With ivory. Right? So this I made big enough to wrap around, and then I'm going to zipper it right on there. So it's going to stay in place without having to be glued on or anything funny.
And you can see these seed beads really illustrate it, how one end has the sticky outie beads, and this one has the innie beads. And so see how it just...
And the seam's going to disappear.
See how when I close it, the seam's just going to disappear like that. So you can see with mine how I've zipped that up And now I'm just gonna pull this tight. And we're just gonna weave our ends back in. So I'm just gonna go back down like you've woven with Emily in Seed Bead School before, right? Weave those ends in. I still have this long end that I'm kind of taming back there. But see, I'm just going to take a little thread path and I'm just going to weave it back through. So again, this is 16 rows by 14 beads starting in each row, or 14 beads in your starter row. Right. One of the things that to really lock your thread in is I like to make that right angle turn. So see, I've come out here, so I'm going to go through here. Because we don't want to knot this thread, right, Em? We just want to weave it back through. What do you think?
Fireline is a little bit slick and slippery, which is one of the reasons I like to beeswax it. I generally don't knot on Peyote Stitch. And, you know, I was talking with a customer earlier today about bead crochet, and one of the things that we both agreed upon was that the way you were brought up, quote, I'm doing air quotes around the word brought up, the way you were taught originally tends to be what you do from here on out. And while I don't want to say that I do the best way, the only way, the right way. I want to say I do it the way that I find it works for me. So one thing that can happen with Peyote Stitch, because it is a fabric of beads now, right? We have somewhat of a warp and somewhat of a weft. If I make a knot somewhere in there and pull tight, I may actually shift how those threads look,
right?
How
the tension,
how
the
they're
way
behaving.
that they're lined up, because that knot will kind of displace things.
Right. So if I concentrate on weaving back in, I can get just as much security. I'm not worried about that.
So
but without distorting
the weave.
The weave. And so that for me has sort of been a keystone, that I don't want to knot in a place where it's going to change the shape.
It's going to be disruptive, right?
Now, right angle weave, when we did that, I definitely knotted off old threads and new threads because I don't have enough beads to pass through. It's too lacy.
Right.
And so I don't have enough
not
fabric
dense enough
to pass through to make that hidden and to be secure. So with Peyote Stitch, I just don't need to knot off.
No, I don't think you do. And so I have this tail. I've taken my stopper bead off, and I'm just weaving that tail right back in, like so. Weave it, weave it, weave it one more time, send it through that little bead. You can see I've got a short little piece of thread here, but I think I'll be okay. I'm going to send it over here. And as long as, my rule of thumb is, when I'm weaving this back through, is I don't want to see the thread, right? So I want to make sure that I'm kind of following a diagonal path. But when I come around to turn the corner, I'll do that here. See, I'm going to bring the thread around. I'm going to bring it back through. I'm going to bring it back through that one bead. Come on. There we go. Who's the boss of that seed bead?
You are.
And see what happened with this little end? It kind of came out. So all I do, I don't pull my needle out. I just needle my thread with the needle still in place.
That's another trick. If you end up with a too short a thread, you can actually put your needle through
and then thread it. Yep. Then I give this just a little bit of a tug, and that thread is going to just pop in and hide where it should. And I'll do that one more time. I'm just going to pass this through a couple of times, and then we're going to call this bead finished. And you can see it's pretty fast. It's pretty fast little, come on, this little metal bead is.
It's funny, you know, the metal beads, because they're
a little bit taller.
Well, they're also hollow. And it's sometimes a little bit hard to go through both holes smoothly. You'll hit the interior of the bead, where glass beads have that nice tunnel, and they're easy to kind of scrape along the wall of the tunnel to feel your way out.
That one's giving me a little bit of sass. There we go. I had to use my pliers.
Those metal beads.
Because my fingers were too big. So now I'm just going to come in. I've taken my needle off, and we're going to close this up. And so look at what I've got. Now I've did that little Emily trick.
Oh yeah, give it a little massage.
There we go. Give it a massage. So there we go. Look at that. It's ready to go. Now I'm ready to string.
So I also like that these metal beads now are a little raised above the surface.
Yeah.
Which I think is super nice.
And they'd be more raised if we used delicas, like we talked about earlier.
That's right.
Right? It would be even better. So Em, why don't you go ahead and start? I'm going to string this.
There's some right there.
Oh, there's some here. I thought that well, that one's off the thing. All right. Give me that stretch magic.
You want me to do that?
Yeah,
Zipper
that
guy?
Go ahead and zipper that guy up, and I'm going to start stringing.
Yeah.
Stringing this guy. So I'm going to get a flexible eye.
So when I measured, I didn't really measure this particularly or count rows. I just fit it around the tassel as I went along. And so every couple of rows I gave it a little test fit. And I'm going to stitch it right on in place. Now, this wants to be fairly snug.
Right,
so
I was going to ask.
The fact that I'm kind of pushing these guys together is a good thing. That's really where I wanted to be at for this one, so that little lovely decorative collar is not going to slide off.
And so let me ask you something. If you were making this from scratch and not an already made up tassel, would you have done that silk wrapping to close it off, to cinch it?
You certainly could.
Yeah.
Because it would be really loosey-goosey and slippery.
It'd be hard to tame all of those threads.
Yeah, but it'd be nice that if my silk wrap wasn't so beautiful, I wouldn't really care about it too much.
Well, you're very kind.
Did a very beautiful job
Silk
here,
wrapping and I are
good friends.
Good, tight, tight friends. Yeah.
Tight? Is that a joke?
Tight. Oh, could be. Yes. Pun intended.
Pun intended. I love a pun. I have some friends that don't love puns, but I love a pun.
It is true.
Right?
So you're going to go ahead and start stitching that up.
I am.
Let me,
do you want me to do it out here, or do you want me to do it away?
Well, why don't you start one more time to show them how you're going to do it?
Sure.
Because that's really easy to see.
Yeah.
And then I'll jump over to the stringing part.
So I've got an innie and an outie opposite one another. And I'm going to come along here, and for this first stitch, probably easiest to just do one. But as I get going a little bit, I should be able to ping-pong my needle across the seam and get a couple of beads at a time. Right,
you're doing that fancy sideways stitch.
Now, this is a case where my stopper bead may not be enough to hold things in place as I cinch this down. Because remember, this first row that I did, first 2 rows with the first 14 beads we applied, is just kind of held up by that stopper bead. So as I get closer to it, I'm going to just keep my eye on it and see that it doesn't
fall away.
Doesn't start pulling out, right?
Because then it'll screw with your tension a little bit,
It will a little bit. And I'm okay if a little bit of change I can live with. This is where my needle tends to get a little bit of distress on it because I'm going to bend it to make it fit in there.
Because you're the boss of that needle.
Because I am the boss of that needle.
You are in charge.
I try to be.
That really looks nice. And you can see, you guys, the look of the bead is a little different because Emily used all glass seed beads. And like we were saying before, that size 11/0 metal bead is a little raised, so it gives you
a little pop.
A little more texture.
So if I was doing this one stitch at a time, I would go from one side to the other. And if you want, give me just 1 second. Let me get through there.
Yeah, no, you're doing.
And I can actually open up that seam a little bit more. And you can kind of see how the threads move back and forth from one side to the other. Right along there. And I'm almost to my last stitch. But if I pull those guys tight.
Look, you can't see a thing.
Can you see where I did it?
Nope. Nope.
No, you cannot.
I cannot.
Can't.
And that's the last little bead right there.
Right? That is.
And then you pull it tight and look at everything's in.
Right? Everything's all cinched up there.
And so now you're going to take off your stopper bead?
I can leave my stopper bead till I'm ready to sew in that last thread.
Okay, great.
So I'm going to bring my needle in through the bead that's next to the stopper bead, so bead number 1. And I am also going to work a little bit of a diagonal or figure 8 kind of thing. I like to kind of circle back on myself at least once, but maybe twice, preferably. Okay.
So it really is sound in there.
But look how cool that looks on top of all those.
Oh, it really does look awesome, doesn't it?
Let me slide this guy down.
Yes. That really is cool. And you could, if you wanted, this inner part doesn't have to be all
so
one
wide.
color
or
narrower,
make it narrower
or whatever.
Yeah,
but this is exactly that, just more rows, right? So for this bracelet, I have strung, and I did check mine. Now, I like the way this fits, and you may not. This one is on that single strand of 0.7 millimeter Stretch Magic. And here, I strung up using my wire needle here. You can see I did that double strand. And my tester for that is that I can really see that these beads still slide nicely across the thread. I would be concerned if it would be really tight and I'd have to push them down like that, but since these flow across, I'm pretty happy with it. Now, what I could do, we actually have a little variation in our design theme, and so let me actually...
Because Kate and Emily can't leave well enough alone.
We can't, right? So I'm going to put, we have these really super awesome Saturn beads. And you can see here the rondelle, how the rondelle kind of, it fits pretty nicely into my little Peyote Stitch bead here. But I got an idea, actually, yesterday when I was playing around with this, is that the Saturn bead might be even better to put next to this Peyote Stitch bead. And notice I took one rondelle off, I slid my Stretch Magic through, and now I'm just using my needle to get my second Stretch Magic strand through there. There we go. So it's like nothing ever happened. So whoops, so that's there. And I'll take one more of these guys off. So I've got that.
We have a quick question about Peyote Stitch. Would it
and I'll put the Saturn on.
Need an odd or even amount of rows before zipping?
It's an even amount of rows, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, even amount. So you can see how that little Saturn bead, look at how nice that fits in there.
Those Saturn beads are great. They're kind of like they have a built-in bead cap on them. And that little bit of a taper is nice, but they sort of look like a rondelle when you use them in this position. I do like them a lot. I love their colors, and
I like them too.
Anything with a Picasso finish has my vote.
Yes, with thumbs up from us.
Right.
So now I'm going to tie this. And when you tied these off, did you use a square knot?
I used the surgeon's knot.
So I want you to show.
Okay.
Because I know I would probably tie this in a right over left, left over right kind of a stitch, but you did yours in a big overhand, I think. Right?
I did a surgeon's knot.
Okay, so will you show me how that's done?
I would be happy to. Hold on one second. I got myself into a tangle with my bead threads. I'll put it aside for a moment.
Okay.
So I like a surgeon's knot because I feel like it cinches on itself a little bit. And to do that, it's pretty straightforward. In fact, it's really just absolutely related to a square knot. It's one more step. Okay. So I can lay my left over my right, and this doesn't really matter how you start this.
And we're going to treat the two threads as if they were one.
I'm going to come through the opening of the circle, and then I'm going to go through again. And what I've found over the years is that when I pull this tight, the knot binds on itself. And one of the things that's kind of always given me fits about elastic is that when you let go to tie the next knot, it kind of loosens up. So the surgeon's knot helps quite a bit with that. And then I'm going to do right over left and through. and snug it up again.
Oh,
and
even better.
That really seems to work pretty well for me.
It sure does.
You know? Then I'll put a little glue on it.
Which we'll do right now.
I also have a tendency to like to bury my tail. There's some new terminology for everybody today. So I'm going to take that wire needle and go through the bead that's right next to the knot.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pull the thread tails through. This is a little tuggy, so you have to be a little
tight with it doubled. But I think it'll still work.
Yeah, I think so too. And I like to glue my knot.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold this open for you.
Okay. I'm going to get my...
It's a three-handed job, although
it is,
you can do it by yourself.
My
it's okay.
hypo cement. Note
Dried
to self.
up.
There we go. Here it is.
Yeah, they're
I'm going to come in and see. I like to work on a little baggie,
You're so
and I'm
smart.
just going to come in.
And just sort of wet the knot.
Hey, knot.
Teamwork, teamwork.
There we go.
Right, and I'm going to slide that knot, pulling
Inside.
it inside that bead. So over the years of working in multiple bead stores, I have to tell you that one of the most common repair that anybody would bring in is an elastic bead bracelet that had broken and needed to be restrung. All elastic. Just think of the elastic that you encounter in your normal life, right? The most common elastic that wears out.
You know what it is.
I know what it is.
I'm working on some right now.
You're guessing?
Yeah, I am.
Are you?
I am.
Okay. So all elastic wears out, and eventually you have to discard that garment.
That's right. That garment
get
that
a
no
new
one
one.
ever sees.
Right?
That's right.
So elastic here is going to wear out as well. And I like doing double because it is more durable, more strong. As long as it's not affecting the flexibility too
and
much.
it's a little stiffer.
Crunchier.
One of the things, but I like the body of this piece because the way that I put this on, a lot of people when they put on their stretch bracelets, they put it on and they pull it like this, right? A stretch bracelet is
Goes
meant
on
to be
with a roll.
Goes on with a roll, not a tug,
Right.
right?
Right. And
look at what
I
we've
like
got
that
here.
little bit of flexibility, so there's a little tiny bit of drapiness to that, you know. I needed an extra bead. I think I made one of these big enough for me. I have about an 8-inch wrist, and we've had many a discussion about me making my jewelry the right size. I needed every last bead in that strand of 25.
And adding these little Saturns, though, also gives you some, like you could add these
Oh, I could add them
wherever,
all around.
all
yeah.
around.
Yeah, yeah.
But I love, and I'm going to roll both of these
So
on.
this is the whole deal here, is that there is nothing more luxurious than stacks of bracelets.
I know, look at my stacks. My stacks are kind of crazy
Right?
today, aren't they?
I feel like we're on QVC
I know,
selling this stuff.
right?
Ladies, we need some stacks
We
of
need some
bracelets.
stacks. But look at
you
how...
know, this was a pretty simple little bead to make. And even if you just sat down and made the flat strips and then bound them all together later, you know, zipped them up later, that'd be fine too.
Right.
You could actually sit one half-hour TV program at a time and then string all these beads up and make bracelets. And they would be wonderful gifts. I think anybody would be thrilled to get
they look good
a
together.
strand or 2 or 3 of these with that nice little handmade bit on the end, you know?
And it just depends. You can use any of the beads that you might have in your stash, but I really love how this little tapered Saturn does a nice job nestles in there. And I have on my wrist here, you guys can see all of my luxurious stacks here. But next week, what we're going to do is we're going to do a kind of a friend or a relation to this stack bracelet. We're going to use the leftover seed beads, and we're going to do some simple laddering, which is going to be fun.
Yeah.
And look at how great. So my vision, I'm going to pull this down and
Kate had a
move this
vision.
one over. I did. I had a vision that someday I'd wear a stack of bracelets. But you can see here, see how those two really, or these three actually,
They're
go
all
together.
friends.
They're all friends. They're all cousins.
You know, you
ready
could
to
make
play.
the same bracelet for a bunch of different sisters or cousins or, you know, whatever, to have a little
I'm gonna take some
memento
of my, I'm gonna
that
take
all kind of went together.
Right, that all kind of matched. And it's a really good one. People were also commenting that, oh, I like, there we go, that's a little easier to see, that they like projects that they can take on the go.
Yep.
This seed beaded peyote seed bead, I could not define a more on-the-go project than this.
No, absolutely, and an easy to manage little project. You know, you have just 2 colors of beads and a needle and thread, and you're good to go.
Thread, and you're ready to go to Grandma's
roll
house
it,
for
roll it up in
Thanksgiving.
your bead mat, and you are downtown. You know.
Yeah. Really good.
So I had one other little trick I was going to share with you, Kate, and I thought that this tassel might need, the beadwork on this tassel might need a picot.
Oh, let's let's show a picot. We've got a few minutes left before we're going to sign off.
Yep, I thought that this was going to wind up exactly at the right moment. Just going to get my last little thread woven in here, and then I'll be ready for a picot. So picot is one of those terms that, you know, we kind of borrowed from the knitters. And it really just has to do with having a little bit of embellishment on an edge.
Like a little triangle.
Right. And, you know, you can make all kinds of picots. Really super short picots if you want, or more elaborate ones. I thought this little tassel would benefit from just a fairly quick picot on the edge, and one that would be easy to replicate pretty much in any situation. And... you know,
in any situation, Emily.
Can I have it? Oh, I need a new needle. Give me a needle. No, I got some right here. Look,
you have it?
I have my magnetic box
Look how
full of
smart you
needles.
are.
I know. I tried and sort of succeeded this today. You guys don't know how hard this is to get everything ready for Facebook Live and then go, oh my God, I need one more thing.
One more thing. Someday we'll do a pre-Facebook Live, so you can watch us running around like crazy women.
Oh man, did you have the?
Emily, get that. Give me that.
Give me a Kleenex. I need a cup of coffee. Quick. It's almost time. So we have a great time doing it, but sometimes it is a little wild and wacky right before air.
It is true.
All right. So
let's bring that front and center
so
we can see that.
And can you remind us what size needle?
We're using a 10 today. You could use a 12 if you're feeling more easy with that. But a 10 is certainly fine for this. And it's a bit easier to thread the fire line through a 10 for sure. Now, one of the things about adding embellishments is you may find yourself with a little bit of difficulty because of this extra business down here.
The legs
of the tassel.
I like to say.
So one of the things I would do once I start stitching on here is actually hold the legs out of the way so that I don't get my thread wrapped around in there, because it's super frustrating.
Oops, where's our little snip? There it is.
It's super frustrating if you can't you keep getting yourself tangled up, right? So I'm going to take a random color choice. Not really random. I'm totally going to pick. I'm going to pick up one of my green beads, one of those lovely ivories, and one more green bead. And I have this is still my same thread.
And this is just what you wove off with, right?
So you're coming out. So I came out to the edge. And I'm going to go right in the next bead.
The next one next to it.
It could be to the left or to the right. Doesn't really matter. Nope. I'm going to pull this up snug. Oh, hi.
Hey, Pico.
Hi, Pico.
So do it again. Do it again.
So I'm going to go down the next bead along.
Next bead.
So I've got the right one. Yep.
And you're not catching any of the tassel legs.
No tassel legs tangling.
And you're going to put on a green bead, an ivory bead, and a green bead.
Right.
For Pico number 2.
I'm going to go right up the next one.
Yeah, you are. You guys, this is awesome. You could do this even with your beaded bead.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I better make another one.
Quick.
Pico number 3. Pico number 3.
Right.
That's super exciting.
Oops. So I almost made a very classic error.
Right.
I went up, but I didn't go down again. Right. So remember that you have to be coming out on the edge. And I almost caught that leg in there too. God,
oh my goodness.
You and your legs, Kate.
Me and my tassel legs.
Yeah, doing this at a little bit of a distance from your eyes is interesting.
A little hard. And if you guys didn't see this tassel making session, it's on our website on Free Tip Friday. You can just go right to our projects.
See, I think it needed that little picot.
I think it looks really nice.
We could have done a whole other color too for this, you know, a whole other colorway for that.
A whole other color.
Picot. But I think that little picot going around with the legs hanging down, let's see how it looks.
Makes it look really nice, doesn't it?
So it sort of finishes it off a little bit, and it takes away a little bit from this even cut off edge here. And we could do this on top and bottom. We could even alternate them on top and bottom.
And you could picot with a completely, like you were saying, because this picot, this green is kind of blending in. So if we want to do that whole thing in ivory, or we could do it in pick up another.
We could pick
like
another
the teal color.
You know, it'd be fun
there.
to find a lavender. Oh, hi.
Hi, lavender.
Hi, gray.
That would look
AB,
cool.
matte gray, transparent AB.
Yeah.
That would look kind of fun on there.
I really like the way that picot finishes it off.
I do too. I'm glad you let me riff on your tassel.
No, it's good. And again, you can find this on Free Tip Friday from last Friday. And then this Friday, on Free Tip Friday, speaking of which, I'm going to take these tassels. I'll probably use this one that you made or around. We're going to take it one more step. We're going to do one more thing with them.
Awesome.
Which is kind of exciting for me.
Okay. I had another thought actually after we finish this, so maybe I'll tell you later.
Okay. I'm excited to hear about it.
It involves shadows.
Well, you know, my favorite bead is shadows. All right. Well, let's wrap this sucker up, shall we? Any final?
We did. We had a quick question.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's about making sure. How do you make sure that the picots come out even?
So, you know, in this case, I didn't really count up this, but I'm fairly sure I have an even number of beads along that edge.
Yeah, I think so.
And if I didn't, I would just fake it on one of them.
Blend it, yeah.
Yeah.
Blend it.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too terribly much. It's all on one thread, and I'm just going up and down from that last bead on the row. So if I came out unevenly, I didn't like it, I could pull it out. I could also find that if my count was off a lot, like I really wasn't able to get one more in there, I could make the picot skip a bead, so then I could kind of make it work out that way. Yeah. So there's a few fixes.
Yeah, and no one's going to be that close to your tassel.
Especially when it's hanging
really
from
see
a
it.
very expensive key, hanging
That's
in
right.
a fancy door
it sure
of a.
looks nice.
Doesn't that look good on there?
Yeah, and
I'm
it's
not
nice
actually
and
sure I
firm.
like the green picot. I think I might have to do the white picot. I might have to pull that back out.
Oh,
You guys will have to tune in on Friday and see
to
it.
see what happens. To
Yeah.
see the
finished
end,
product.
the end of the picot.
Yeah, I think it's going to need all ivory.
Yeah, that's my
I'm
feeling.
just kind of.
It's cool though.
I don't know if I want another color, but I think that more
That's
ivory would
great.
look good there.
Well, oh my goodness. What?
It's been a great. This was a fun one, wasn't it?
It was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I love the Peyote Stitch. So, you guys, what do you have? Thank you. You've got that for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've
You
got
your
this for
papers.
you.
Yeah,
It
don't
almost says
forget.
hang it on a handbag, which is really good.
It would look
Yes,
lovely
it
on a
would.
handbag.
Yep.
You know.
I like a handbag embellishment.
I do
If
too.
I do say so myself.
Right.
So, you guys, what we've got going on, a couple of things for you, as you know, since it is Wednesday, November 8th. Today, we've got, I'm going to hand you that.
Okay.
We've got our store-wide going on. You can look on our homepage, and you can see there's a little bar there that we're doing for the month of November that has a bunch of different discounts on it, but some of them have minimums. But today, we removed the minimum on the 20%, and we gave you a new coupon code. So if you add BEAD20 to your order that you make today, everything will be 20% off store-wide, but that ends tonight, that no minimum on the 20%. So it ends
gotta
tonight
get
at
on it.
midnight at Pacific time. And as always, with our little giveaway that we always like to do on Facebook Live, what I've done, since it was fun to add the Saturns in, I thought I would get you guys started. And we did a little mix
I
of
just had a great
10,
idea.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10 Saturn beads that are going to come in this darling little organza bag.
Thank you,
If
Jen.
in your shipping notes you write Saturn Mix right in there, and there's a pair of 5 different beads that would go nicely with this palette. So it's a good place to start you off. Or if you made one of these little beaded beads like this, they would also be great as an earring.
Oh, totally.
Right?
Oh, it would be.
You could put
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Saturn at the bottom of an earring.
I was just
and
thinking
maybe
about making
something
that
else.
like the top of a bead and then a tassel coming out of that
coming
bead.
out of
And
the
beaded
bottom.
bead. Yeah,
yeah,
with
it'd be,
with
look
the,
really great.
With the Saturn at the top.
Yeah. So these would all, that would look really nice.
Yeah.
So just a little Saturn mix for you to play around with, I think will be fun. So I said, like I said, on Friday, Free Tip Friday, we're going to keep going with this tassel, and I'm going to turn it into a couple of other things, which I think you're going to dig. And then next week, you guys, we're going to work on what we like to call this simple laddering technique, and these little guys are going to be cousins here with these stacks.
And it's infinity laddering that we're going to do. Right?
Yeah, and we've got a really great infinity tutorial for you. And if you haven't found that tutorial yet, we've just posted it under our skill builders.
Oh, good.
You'll find it there, so you can review it a week early. And then also, the following week after that will be the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and guess who's going to be here? Janice will be here, and she has a special, really special, really great design for you guys. So Janice, we're super excited to have you back on Facebook Live in just 2 weeks. But I think that wraps it up today.
I think so too.
Yeah. Any final words, Bran, or you over there, Grace, whoever she is? Right? Call her every name in the office. We're all good, Gracie?
Yeah, that's good.
Great. All right. Well, you guys, thanks so much. And, you know, your kind words in our new Facebook community, beadshop.com community, the bead table, where it really warmed our hearts. So thank you so much, and we're really looking forward to creating all kinds of wonderful content on there for you. So if you haven't jumped over and you want to go join, go ahead and go join that community, and I'm going to be approving people right and left after this. Okay, so thank you so very much. I'll see you Friday for Free Tip Friday. Be creative. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys. Thank you. See you soon.
Bye.